Hey folks, welcome to Solar Cabin Channel. Today I'm going to be doing a discussion of the features of the Mitaku e-bike, the Cybertrack 100 e-bike, and I've had this now about 3 days, and I've been riding it a lot over those last 3 days. I did an unboxing and setup video, but I didn't get to go through all of the features, and I've also added some accessories and things that I'm going to talk about, and we'll talk about the speed limiter on the bike, the battery, different features, the charger, and some accessories that I really recommend that you have. Now, to start off with, the Mitaku Cybertrack 100 is a Class 2 e-bike. Now, if you don't understand the difference in the classes, Class 1 e-bike is an e-bike that is pedal assist with a motor. Generally, in the UK, they have to be under 250 watts. In the US, they can have a lot more watts, but they are limited to 20 miles per hour. That is the limit in the US. It is a law in all states that I'm aware of that you, for a Class 1 bike, it has to be pedal assist and 20 miles per hour limited or less. In the UK, they can only do 15.5 miles per hour on paved roads, or otherwise they can switch it to a higher if they're off-road. Now, this is a Class 2 e-bike, which means it has pedal assist and a throttle. And this one has a throttle over here on the right. And in a Class 2 e-bike, you can go up to 20 miles per hour, either both pedal assist or with the throttle, but they are limited to 20 miles per hour. Now, I contacted the company, Mitaku, and talked to their representative, Kim, to ask, is there a reason that we can't adjust the speed to go faster if we want to? Because I wasn't all that familiar with the laws, and so this is where I got my education from. And the reason is simple. The company will set them at 20 miles per hour for liability reasons, okay? If you go faster than that and you got into an accident and they had set this higher than 20 miles per hour, then the company would be liable for the accident. So they have to set them at 20 miles per hour. And Mitaku is very responsible, and they will not allow you to change the speed. Now, some bike companies, especially the ones that are making them in the U.S., have allowed their customers, some of them, to change the speed limit by doing a programming change on their controller. The problem you're going to get into there, you could run into legal problems if you was to get into an accident and they could prove that you had tampered with it and was going faster than 20 miles per hour. You could be legally responsible for the accident. You may not get your injuries paid for. You may not get your bike paid for if you get into an accident if you changed your speed limiter to go faster than the 20 miles per hour that they are set at. Just so you're aware of that. Now, there is also a Class 3 bike, which you have to have registered in most states. You have to get them registered. They have to have a speedometer, and they can go up to 28 miles per hour. And generally, they are considered, anything over 28 miles per hour is considered a motorcycle, and then you have to get registration, license, and insurance in most states to drive any type of motorcycle on the streets. So, that's your classes. This is a Class 2 e-bike that has both pedal assist and it has a throttle. Now, I took this out riding, and I'm very impressed with the speed on it. It will easily do 20 miles per hour. I was able to get it up to around 21 miles per hour. That was with the pedal assist in level 5. Now, this has 5 levels on the pedal assist, and you can easily get up to that 20 mile per hour. And I can tell you, you really don't want to ride a bike, because even though these are very well-made bikes, they are not motorcycles, and they're not made for speeds over really about above 20 miles per hour, and could get kind of dangerous. Now, with the throttle, it would still do straight throttle on a level road. It would still do about 20 miles per hour, between 19 and 20 miles per hour straight out on just throttle with no pedal assist. It goes a little faster with the pedal assist. Now, this has a 350 watt motor and battery, 350 watt hub, and it's got a 350 watt battery with 375 amps of power. And believe me, this thing has a lot of torque. Now, how I know that is, I've been towing it. As you can see, I've got my tow hitch here. In another video I showed you, I've been towing my 60-pound dog in my awesome trailer behind this. And with that torque, I can get right up to speed, and it will actually do 20 miles per hour with the dog in the trailer. In that video, I'm cruising right along at about 19, 20 miles per hour. And it has a lot of torque, and I was able to get it right up a hill, very steep hill, on gravel, with the trailer on the back, just doing low pedal assist in level 3, I was able to go right up that hill. So these have great torque. Now, this bike is designed, even though they call it a mountain bike, I would say it's more of a light trail bike. It's really good on hard pack road. It rides really well on gravel roads. And if the trails are dirt and hard packed, it runs really well. But it isn't a fat tire bike. And fat tire bikes do a lot better in really slippy sand, snow, or mud conditions. This is designed basically for dry riding trails. You could do a little bit of mud riding, but I'd be really aware that in the sand it's really slippy, and I've actually tipped this over a couple times trying to ride in the sand dunes, got off in the high sand, in the deep sand, and this bike just would not handle it because it's not a fat tire bike. So it's not really designed for that. But it does handle hard trails. It handles blacktop. It'd do great for commuting, for your local riding to your college or to your work or something like that, making a run to the store. Works excellent for commuting. Also works good for light trail riding and gravel. It does have good tires on it. It's got a Shimano shift package, 21 speeds. You really don't need all those speeds, but it's nice to have. You can shift around. Now, generally, I keep mine in the middle gear, and I usually fluctuate somewhere between 3 and high on the middle gear, and that will get me a decent workout on my legs because I'm trying to get myself back in shape. That's why I got the bike. So at that range, I only use a little bit of pedal assist, and just enough to get me up hills and things like that. Or if I get real tired and my legs start getting tired, then it's nice to shift into the power mode, the pedal assist, and let that help me. Otherwise, I'm just riding it like a basic mountain bike. And that's one of the things I really like about this is because this bike is very light, okay? And it's without the battery, you can actually ride it just like any standard mountain bike, and it rides as good as any of the expensive mountain bikes as a mountain bike. It has good brakes, it has good shifting, everything works, derailleurs, Shimano shifting. Now, this has a Bafang rear 350 watt motor. That's probably top of the line. There really isn't any better for a hub motor. It is not a midline motor. Midline motors are more expensive. You've seen some bikes like that. Midline motors also have their cons. They tend to have a lot more torque, and so they tend to snap chains. You won't have that problem with this motor here. It still has a lot of torque, but it's not so much torque that you're going to snap a chain and break down in the middle of nowhere and have to be pushing your big, heavy midline motor back. So that's something to think about. The battery is 350 watt, 375 amps. It says it will charge up in 3 hours. That is true. I recharge this very easily off my system, and you can see that I'm standing in front of my solar panels. This is a 400 watt solar panel system, and I live off-grid, and I have lived off-grid for over 20 years now. And so I charge everything at my house, has to be charged off of my small solar power system. That's why I got the e-bike, because I wanted to make sure that I had a vehicle, if I needed to, that I could get back and forth to town, because I've got a town that's 10 miles that way, a town that's 10 miles that way. And if I can't get in one of my gas vehicles to work, or if I just don't want to use my gas vehicles and I want to use more electrical power, I can use the e-bike now and get myself back and forth to town. So, the charger I wanted to talk about, this is the charger. Just be aware that when you're charging this up, because this is a fast charger designed to charge it up really fast in 3 hours, it will get extremely hot, okay? It can get so hot that it can actually burn your hand. So don't let kids mess around with this, and make sure that you don't put your hand on it and get yourself burnt, and keep it away from any items that might get hot enough to catch fire. It does have a self-controller in it, so if the controller gets too hot or the battery starts to get hot, it will shut itself down for a few minutes, and then it turns itself back on and powers up again. One way to avoid having it cycle on and off like that is just to unplug it yourself. Let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, then plug it back in so that it cools down the charger, and it'll charge it right back up faster, and it won't keep cycling on and off. But it does charge the battery just fine in about 3 hours. And it charged it fine off of my 400 watt solar power system, running off of a 500 watt inverter. Charged up just fine in 3 hours. So anyone else who's living off grid, or if you're going to be using this, I know a lot of people like to have them in their RVs and their camping. If you're thinking, can I run them off a small off grid power system? Yes, they will charge up just fine off a small off grid power system. Now, some other accessories that I got for my bike, and one that I think that all e-bike manufacturers should include. They include the flashers with this bike, front and rear flashers for safety, and they also include the wheel flashers on the wheels. But they should, all e-bike companies should include a mirror. And I would encourage them to start doing this, to include at least a cheap mirror with your e-bikes, because what's going to happen is some person is going to get one of these bikes and they're going to want to ride it right away. And if you don't have a mirror on, you're really taking your life in your hands, because you can't see behind you. There's going to be vehicles coming around you. They're going to be trying to pass you, and they don't pay a lot of attention or respect bikes, even though they should. And so if you don't have a mirror, you're not going to be able to see, and you're a lot more likely to get into an accident. And I have a feeling a lot of accidents could be avoided if the bike companies would just throw in a $2 mirror in with their bike package. They would probably save some lives. So e-bike companies out there, consider putting in a cheap mirror in with your e-bike package, or a good mirror in with your e-bike package. Now, I had a mirror. I put a mirror on mine right away so I could ride it. Other accessories I've got a center console here, which is just a little bag. This has a place in it for my phone or my MP3 player, which I put in here. It has room inside here for my tool package and a spare inner tube, and just some other things, you know, snacks and treats and stuff like that may also go in that package there. Has a little visor on the front to keep the weather from blowing in there, and also provides a little bit of shade so I can see my camera or my MP3 player. Now on the battery, I didn't tell you this battery, it does come off. It slides right off or slides right on, but it also has a key slot here, and it comes with 2 keys. When you're riding, make sure you lock your battery on if you're going to be using the battery at all. Make sure you lock it on. That way someone can't come by and just grab your battery and walk off with it, because the batteries are very expensive. Now I did contact, like I said, I contacted the Mitaku company, and they are going to be having these batteries available. So if you need an additional battery, they said probably in August they will start releasing new batteries. Now there's so much demand for batteries, and a lot of companies producing e-bikes, that it's getting harder to get batteries made, and so they're in line to get their batteries made the same as any other company. And so they said probably in August they should start having these available. But you know, this has 500 on average, about 500 cycles, and for an average rider that's riding a couple times a week for maybe 6 months out of the year, the battery's going to last you probably 8 to 10 years. It should last you about 10 years before you need a new battery anyway. So you're in no hurry to have to get a new battery, but there will be batteries, and there are already some other manufacturers that make batteries that would probably work with this system, but Mitaku will have their batteries available sometime around August. Now, again, this does have disc brakes. And I wanted to tell you the story on this front disc brake. If you watched my unboxing video, you noticed that after I got it put together and I went to spin my front tire was dragging. And when I was riding it, it was dragging. I'm like, there's something wrong with this. I had put the disc rotor on backwards. So when you're putting on the disc rotor, just be aware there is an arrow on the disc rotor that shows the direction the tire is supposed to be turning, and that arrow is supposed to follow the direction the tire is turning. Well, I had the bike flipped upside down when I put the rotor on, and I put the rotor on backwards. And if you put it on backwards, it drags against the brake caliper, and so that will slow you down, makes a terrible noise, and just very frustrating. So as soon as I flipped it over, the brake stopped dragging and works fine. It does have very good shift package. It's got the Shimano shift package, 21 gears. You really don't need those gears. Most of the time, I'm riding in the mid-range gear, and on anywhere from 3 to 7 on the speeds. It works just fine, and a lot of bikes only come with 7 gears. This one comes with 21 gears. That's good for standard mountain biking if you're doing a lot of uphill where you really need to get in granny. But with the power assist, you can do that in a higher gear and still get the same amount of speed out of it as you would as if you had to drop down into granny and were pedaling. But this bike is also designed to be used as a straight mountain bike, which is really nice. You can take the battery out completely. That takes about 3 pounds or more of weight off of the bike, and then you're down to about 41 pounds, and this thing rides really nice as just a standard mountain bike. The other things that I've added as accessories, I added a gel seat because a few years ago, back when I was in college many years ago, I slipped on some ice, came down, and broke my tailbone. And so I've had a hard time sitting on any hard surface for a very long time. Even in a truck seat, it really gets to me after a while. So I've got a gel seat for my bike, and it has this space in here that's better for your health, so you're not going to kink anything or get anything injured in there, and also really protects your spine, protects if you've had, like me, if you had any injuries to your tailbone. Gel seat's a really nice thing to have. The other thing that I got this bike rack, which you can see here, and it just has a quick connect on it, and it has a couple of bars that can go down here. I did not connect mine with the quick connect. It's plenty strong enough without those. And the bike rack gives me a place where I can put my bag, and I've got this bag to go with it, or I've got panniers, which are called saddlebags, that go down here. This bag is really nice. It's big enough that I can carry supplies in it. It has 2 pouches on the sides and then a center pouch. And right now what this has in it is my pump, and you want to get a bike pump, because one of the things that you'll probably have happen is you'll probably have a flat tire at some point, and it's easier to pump up in right-of-ways than it is to stop and have to completely take a tire apart and put it in a new tube. A lot of times you can get home just by pumping it up enough to right-of-ways and then have to pump it up again. So you want to make sure that you're carrying a pump with you. All right, what else can I tell you on this bike? The other thing that you absolutely must get is make sure you have a helmet. And you can get these. This is just one of the foam with the plastic over them, and you can get these for like under $20 for the less expensive ones. And they, you know, a really good one you may spend up to $100. They're expensive if you want to get the expensive ones. I got one. I think this cost me about 20 bucks on Amazon here, made by Giro, or I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, and you want to make sure that you're wearing a helmet. Wear your helmets. Use your mirrors. Use your safety features on your bikes, and then you'll be a lot less likely to get yourself injured. And if you fall off your bike, this is what's going to protect you. Or if somebody smashes into you with a car or something like that, this is what's going to protect your brain, so it doesn't end up splattered on the road or on a trail somewhere. Now you also notice that I have a camera. This is a GoPro knockoff. It isn't a GoPro. It's another brand, but it basically works the same way, but it's a lot less expensive than the GoPro. And I got a mounting system for that so that I can mount my camera. And that way, when I'm riding the bike, I can turn the camera on and I can videotape whatever I'm doing on my bike. And you may have noticed when I did my other video of my ride in the dunes, I had this camera attached to my handlebars, which I still have the mount up here. But the problem is that when you have it mounted to the handlebars, it picks up all the vibration, and it's so close to the wheel that it sounds like a bad sewing machine. It sounded like shit, even though the bike is actually very quiet to ride. It does make a little bit of noise, more noise than a standard mountain bike, but it doesn't make a lot of rattling and noises and stuff like that. All of that was being amplified because it was attached to this, which is attached to the handlebars, and so it's picking up all that extra sound. So having it attached to my helmet should reduce a lot of that sound while I'm videotaping. So make sure you have a helmet. The only other thing I would say is the other thing you might want to get, since I'm an old guy, going on 60, and I got this so I could get back into shape, you may want to also get you a fitness watch, which are really nice. You can get these also on Amazon. And a lot of them, like this one here, it tells you your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your oxygen levels as you're riding. So I can check it before I start riding, see where I'm at, check it while I'm riding to see if I'm staying within my range. And this is Bluetooth, so it actually connects to my phone so that I can upload all my information and look at it on my phone to see and graph it over time to see if I'm improving in my physical condition. And these watches now are fairly cheap. You can get a nice one for around 50 bucks. That's either Bluetooth or just standard watch that has those features so you can monitor your health. That's also a nice feature, just an extra accessory if you're interested in that. All right, folks, that is the Mitaku Cybertrack 100 e-bike. And so far, I am very impressed with it. I am going to be doing more videos of my rides and adventures with Tazzy, take her out in the trailer, and I'm going to be doing some rides to town. I'm going to check the full range on this. From what I have found in my amount of riding that I've done over the last 3 days, it will get a good 25 miles on full pedal assist or full throttle electric, maybe up to 30 miles, but I would say at least 25 miles. And it will get up to 45 to 50 miles if you're in just pedal assist and you're doing mostly a lot of pedaling on the straightaways and just using the power from the battery for going up hills, or if you run into a higher incline or something like that. If you're on the low pedal assist, it will go a lot farther in your range is what I'm saying. And you should be able to get 40 to 50 miles on the low if you're doing more pedaling than you are using the battery. But you'll get a good 25 to 30 miles per hour if you're doing battery assist. Okay, I think that pretty much covers everything on the bike. I'm very happy with it, and as I get more information from Kim and the Mitaku company, if I get any more information from them, I will share that with you about this e-bike. Now I'm going to take Tazzy and we're going to go on an adventure and go riding in the dunes. You folks have a great day. My dog, Tazzy, which is a good 60-pound dog. Get away, dog. And a little cat. in a trailer, and so she's about 60 pounds. So if you can see what I'm doing, about 11, almost 12 miles per hour going up this hill with pedal assist 5, gear 3, holding steady right around 10 miles per hour. Going up this hill, no big strain at all. Really, I would have a hard time doing this without the pedal assist. I got down to 9 miles per hour, about 10 miles per hour. And now as soon as I just get up to the top of it, that pedal assist kicks in, and boy, it's really helpful at getting me up a hill. And that is towing a 60-pound dog and trailer, pedal assist. That worked out really nicely. Now we're going to park up here, and then I can take the trailer off and just ride the trails. Or a lot of times what I'll do is just take Kathy for a nice walk out through the cedars, and that's what we're going to do today.